What's going on, guys? In today's video, we're going to talk all about what in the world is South Florida. So I think a lot of people think South Florida is one thing when it's actually another. And this is going to help clear up all the confusion on not only where in the world South Florida is, but what's going on in South Florida, where are the best places to live, what are things going on, where does everyone want to be, all those different questions, and we're going to dive into it right now. But before we do that, if you want to know everything there is to know about eating, sleeping, living, and even playing in South Florida and Florida in general, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps us out a ton. But now let's jump right into it. Okay, so I was thinking about how the best way to tell you what South Florida is, but I think the best way, honestly, is to tell you what it's not. So a lot of people think South Florida is pretty much everything south of Orlando, and I can tell you right now, that is not South Florida. So for starters, a lot of people think like the Naples, Marco Island area is South Florida. No, that is Southwest Florida. And a lot of people think that like Port St. Lucie and Fort Pierce and Stewart are South Florida. Again, no, that's not South Florida, that's the Treasure Coast. And a lot of people think the Florida Keys are South Florida. No, again, that is not South Florida, those are the Keys. So what South Florida really is South Florida is Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. So that's pretty much the cutoff. That's everything there is to know about South Florida. That's it. We can wrap it up. No, I'm just kidding. So South Florida, the northernmost part is Tequesta. Southernmost part is Florida City. So that entire strip, well, not really strip, but all that land in between, that's South Florida. So when people talk about, hey, I'm from South Florida, I'm from this, I'm from that, that's what they're referring to. Now, a lot of people think that South Florida is only Miami, and it's not. And when people say they're from Miami, 99% of the time, they're not from Miami. They're not from anywhere near Miami. Probably end up living in Parkland, and they're like, yeah, I'm from Miami. Not Miami. But to their defense, when people refer to Miami, they really talk about the Miami metropolitan area, and in the eyes of a lot of people, especially on a national level, the Miami metropolitan area is all of Broward, Palm Beach, and Dade. So I'll give them a little bit of credit, but in reality, it's not Miami, and we'll kind of dive into that right now. So let's start at the bottom with Miami-Dade County. So Miami-Dade County is the largest of all three counties, Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach. So they have 2.6 million people there, with a median sales price of $560,000 and an average days on market right now, as of June 2023, about 60 days. And when most people think of living in Miami, they're thinking of pretty much all the things that they see on TV, things they see on social media. So they're thinking of like downtown, Brickell, Miami Beach, South Beach, Edgewater, Midtown, Wynwood. And don't get me wrong, all these areas are excellent and they're awesome. But that's not really Miami. Like that's the one side of Miami. And Miami's got so many different sides to it and so much culture and things to do at the same time that it kind of doesn't really do it justice. So in terms of like other great areas, we're thinking of areas such as like Pinecrest, where the median sales price in Pinecrest is $937,000, and there's about 18,000 people who live there. Another great area, one of the most beautiful in all of South Florida, especially if you love like that Spanish-style home, is Coral Gables. So right now the median sales price in Coral Gables is $867,000, and they have about 49,000 people who live there. Next up, probably in the northernmost part of Miami-Dade County, is Aventura. This is where the Aventura Mall is and the new Brightline station. And the median sales price right now in Aventura is actually much less than that of like Miami as a whole. So the median sales price is $347,000 with about 39,000 people living there. And then we also have Sunny Isles, which is right next to Aventura. It's a beautiful area. This is where the Porsche building is. A lot of people probably know about that from social media again. And the median sales price in Sunny Isles is $363,000 with about 22,000 people living there. And for the most part, a lot of these people who are either moving there or live there actually come from 5 main places, well 6. So at number 6, we have Philly. At number 5, a lot of people are coming from Los Angeles. Then at 4, we have a lot of people coming from Chicago. Number 3, a lot of people from Boston. 2, really kind of surprising, a lot of people from Washington, D.C. And number 1, not so surprising because it seems like everyone in South Florida is from here, and that's people coming from New York City. Next up, we have the best county in all of South Florida, completely unbiased, of course, and that is Broward County. So Broward County actually has 1.9 million people living in it, with a median sales price of $420,000, and the average time on market right now as of June 2023 is 52 days. And the two major cities when people think of Broward County are mostly Fort Lauderdale and Hollywood, which pretty much border each other. Right in between them is the airport, but there's a lot of other great cities and options as well. So the first one we have is Pompano, which has 111,000 people, so it's definitely not a small town by any means, but it's on the water and it does stretch out pretty far west, actually almost west of it's west of 95. and over near the turnpike and things like that. Right now, the median sales price there is $340,000. Next up, we have Deerfield, which is probably one of the more slept on beach towns in Broward County. Deerfield has 31,000 people in it, and the median sales price is $325,000. Excellent location. You're sandwiched right between Pompano and Boca, which is the start of Palm Beach County, but we won't get into that yet. Other than that, another excellent city that everyone wants to live in is Parkland. So Parkland's pretty much all the way out west, but you do have a lot more country club-esque neighborhoods. It's more of a pristine type feel to living in Parkland. There's 33,000 people who live there with a median sales price of 1.1 million. And then the last city that I would say is probably kind of under the radar also, well, somewhat under the radar and people might not think about in Broward County, is Plantation, Florida. Plantation has 92,000 people, so again, not a small city by any means, and the median sales price right now in Plantation is 415,000 people. And kind of surprisingly, most of the people who are moving to Broward County too are exactly the same people who are moving to Miami Dade County. So your top 6 are exactly the same. You have Philly, LA, Chicago, Boston, DC, and New York City. And this is pretty much similar throughout all 3 counties. I mean, when people are moving here, they also don't know South Florida in general and the different counties and what they bring and the different cities and things like that. So I'm guessing that's why we get a lot of mix of the same kind of people or the same people from the same cities moving to each county. And last but not least, the smallest of all 3 counties, we have Palm Beach County, which has 1.5 million people in it with a median sales price right now as of June 2023, $470,000 with an average days on market of 61 days. So when people think of Palm Beach County, they think of the Trump National Golf Course, they think of Palm Beach and just the ritz and the glamour that's surrounding Palm Beach. And Palm Beach County in general does have that kind of aurora, I will give it that. Obviously the major city, Palm Beach, but people also think of things like Boca and West Palm, because those are pretty, and obviously Delray. Boca and Delray are very, very similar in a lot of things, but I think Delray has it beat out personally. And we can kind of talk about that in another video. But some other great areas in Palm Beach County that kind of go under the radar, especially to those who don't know the area very well, are number 1, Jupiter. So Jupiter's awesome, especially if you love boating. Right now there's about 60,000 people who live there with a median sales price of $650,000. Next up we have Palm Beach Gardens, where the Palm Beach Gardens Mall is, and it's very similar to that of Jupiter, I will say, with about 58,000 people living there and a median sales price of $757,000. Then next up we have Wellington, which is actually the winter equestrian capital of the world, which is pretty cool. So if you are into equestrian and anything to do with that, this is really the city for you in South Florida. Other than that, I'd probably say Ocala, because Ocala's night and day difference. But in Wellington, there's about 61,000 people who live there with a median sales price of $727,000. And then the last but not least is the northernmost city in South Florida, and that's Tequesta. It's a smaller town. There's about 6,000 people who live there, but the median sales price there is $882,000. And just like that of Broward and Miami-Dade, the same 6 cities that people are leaving are moving to Palm Beach as well. So again, Philly, LA, Chicago, Boston, DC, and New York City. So if you or anyone you know are looking to make the move either to South Florida and Florida in general, we'd love to be your real estate resource of choice. You can call, text us, or even email us. Whatever is easiest for you, we got you.